Welcome to Rage, you nerds, presented by me, Mr. Cack. It's always been me, Austin. I am joined by the lovely, the hypnotic, the transotic, the transmission, TJ. And in the center square, as the most valuable member of all celebrity groups go, I have my brother, Jared. Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back, us. We took
nice to be back.
We took a unplanned week break from nerding out with things.
Which, by the way, I just want to say to everybody out there, that was my fault. I had a family reunion on my mom's side of the family. I don't want to say I forgot about it, but I forgot to let Cat know about it.
Listen,
hey, don't worry, Jared. Everyone already blames you anyway.
That's fine. And most of the times, it's my fault anyway. Everything's my fault anyway. So I'm okay with that. I wanted to let everybody know, if you missed us last week, it was entirely my fault. But I just want to let you know, I will never, ever do it again.
I probably will, but it's only because during this pandemic I've learned self-care is the best care. Listen, I got a haircut. I feel so much better. I have a new look on life now. My hair's short again. It was really bumming me out that my hair was almost touching my eyeball. Like I couldn't handle that. That's not a life I have ever lived.
Did you trim the old beard up there too?
Yeah, just to kind of make everything short again.
So, to that note, I will have to say this, and I won't say too much more about it, but the whole mask thing, which I don't have the loop over the ear type mask. I decided, hey, if I'm going to order masks, I'm going to order something that I can still use outside when this is all over. So I got a bunch of camo ones. Hopefully I can use in the woods one day when I'm shooting a deer or something, or a squirrel, or whatever. But they're like they're called gaiters, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I've been wearing those this week, and I'll tell you what, man, never mind the breathability. People say, oh, I can't breathe in masks, and they're like, hey, you can breathe fine in masks. The breathing is not the problem for me. You know what I've noticed? The biggest issue I have is it is so much trauma on my beard game, man, because I'm trying to grow this bad boy back out to where I had it back in, December 2019 or 2018 actually, and around then when I had a beard, I've got like a little bit now. I'm trying to get back to where I was, and when your hair on your face press your face all day long, it's brutal, man. It's brutal.
My biggest problem.
First world problems.
My biggest problem is my face sweats. And yeah. I find that very annoying. But then if I pull out my wallet to pay for something and I look down, then the mask just goes immediately into my eyes. So it's like, I hate this thing.
These gator things. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, so I don't want to be like a butt about it, because listen, I get it. We wear the mask because we want to take care of the community. But I was wearing sunglasses and wearing the mask in an area, and that's basically just I don't know how anyone wearing glasses is getting through being out in anything. Because, I immediately took one breath, and I could no longer see the world.
I'll tell you right now, it sucks.
I've had that problem, but also I don't, sometimes, you walk into, a gas station and you got a mask on, and it's like, people are gonna think I'm robbing this place.
Oh, I've accepted that we're in a superhero society now. If you've seen the I guess sequel or the companion series of The Watchmen that came out on HBO as a miniseries, we're essentially living that world where everyone's wearing a mask now.
Yeah.
We're just no one's a good vigilante or supervillain. However, we all just are just doing normal shit. I'm going to get food. I could be robbing a bank, but I'm just going to get food. Or I guess saving the bank, could also be a possibility. I guess I don't have to be a villain.
Well, that's true.
True, yeah. But I feel like there's more payoff to be a villain if you're a good villain.
Yeah, I'm still working on trying to find a functioning Bane mask. I think that would be a.
Well, hello. It seems I've now come to the pandemic.
Back to buy your lattice.
You were
didn't get,
merely
like, the
in the
comic book.
pandemic. I was born in the pandemic.
Get like the comic book accurate Bane mask where it's like the luchador mask.
Yeah.
Get the god awful
No, but, I
shoemaker
will say-
mask and then plug in the tubing with the green.
Different take on things. It's.
What?
I mean, it's goofy, but I don't know.
But this kind of goes into the whole Raw being unprepared thing.
Right.
You know, there's been a lot of stuff on YouTube about how Raw was written and rewritten and torn up and written again on the fly, and that's why none of it makes any sense, is because, you know, the WWE hires all these writers to write something, they write something, Vince doesn't like it, tears it up, writes it himself. So why does WWE even have these writers when they should just have Vince McMahon doing it? Because he's doing it anyway by himself,
Saving
which
some
is
money.
why you get a lot of the problems with Raw. You know, the thing where Bayley and Sasha were out there, go to the back, do a talking segment, and then come back out. It's because, you know, some insane old man is writing.
Nobody knows what the hell's going on.
But, you know, because Vince McMahon writes all this stuff, you know, and that's the whole thing with the WWE is, you know, you're not there to entertain an entire audience full of people. You're there to entertain Vince McMahon. And if he's not entertained,
I mean, that's really it.
he writes you out. He writes you out. You know, there's so many really good wrestlers they have on their roster that are just completely given no shot because they don't entertain Vince, or they don't meet Vince's guidelines for a professional wrestler.
So I've got
tall, muscular.
Yeah. So I've got two things about WWE. One thing, the best storyline from Raw this week, the unprepared Raw, the Raw that they basically just threw everything at the wall to see what would stick, was a story that has been building for months. The Dominique coming out, trying to take some vengeance for his father, setting up the match between him and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. That was the best moment of the night. That was the best gimmick of the night. That was the best storyline of the night. And it should be telling to someone over in WWE that the one story that you haven't just sprung up in the moment, the story you've been cultivating and building since the very first time Seth Rollins attacked Rey Mysterio Jr., which was months ago, is the best fucking story. Because long-term storytelling is actually beneficial. You can still have exhibition matches. I mean, I don't even know why people have to explain this to him. They literally used to do this model for decades in this company, and then they just stopped. And that leads me to my second point. WWE, get off your fucking high horse and go back to being campy-ass wrestling. I hope, if nothing else, what they've learned from AEW gaining more and more traction and using a model that is essentially stripped straight from the Monday Night Nitro that used to air on the very same channel, TNT. They literally had Eric Bischoff on the fucking channel this week.
I saw that segment.
Is that they're using segments that literally buy into the, listen, we're taking ourselves seriously when we need to, but other times we're having orange juice dropped on us, or we're beating someone to death with a bag full of oranges, or a guy is dressed as a fucking dinosaur. Like, all of these things, like, can be good in their own right. I mean, one of their biggest stars puts his hands in his fucking pocket. That's his gimmick. And, like, it's good because he sells out to that gimmick. They're actually wanting to be a scrappy promotion that does wrestling in the way that you remember wrestling when you fell in love with it. WWE, where they start to lose ground now, is that they adhere to this notion that we're one, entertainers, but two, we're athletic and real. Well, okay, You're trying to put someone's fucking eye out in an eye versus eye match. You can't be both. You can't split that fence. You need to embrace what you are. Like, if this was a B horror film trying to be a Scorsese classic, it's going to be ass. Now, if this is a cheesy horror film that gives you the combination of tits, lots of blood and gore, and then some really shitty dialogue, you have a recipe for success. That's all we really want from something. If I go buy a hot dog, I'm not expecting a steak. I know I'm getting a shitty bag of anuses. Like, that's just what that's what I'm prepared to spend money on. Give me that. So that's what I need wrestling to do. I need wrestling to go back to being wrestling for WWE. Nice haircut, CAC USOB. Thank you, Rooster. I feel much better now, Rooster. I feel much better lightening my load.
Got a handsome brother there.
Thank you.
No, I agree with that. I think you summed that up perfectly, because I'm kind of the same way. It's like, let's just do what we're good at. But at the same time, with everything else going on, I see where there is a need to kind of expound and maybe try something different, because if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. Not when your ratings are at the highest they've ever been, but when you're kind of floating along, people are still watching, you're kind of riding the wave. Yeah, let's throw something out there like that, and it would be the best. Now's the best time to do it, to get it out of their systems, to try it out, to see if it works, to see if it has legs. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think most people would agree. Just give me what I came to watch, and that's wrestling. The good old days. We don't have to have a whole lot of time on the mic. We cut us a good promo, and then two guys go out with a storyline that has lasted for a couple months, and they fight for a championship. Or they don't fight for a championship, but they fight for honor in some way, like the Razor Ramon Goldust thing. It was all about honor in some kind of weird way. I think you're on point there.
If you get a chance, it was SummerSlam '92. Watch Bret Hart kind of talking about that match and kind of the difference between wrestling now and wrestling then, and the differences, that certain things that you can do back then, like tell a story over months, that you almost can't do now, because reasons, I guess.
Was SummerSlam '92, was that him and Owen in the cage?
No, SummerSlam '92 was Wembley Stadium.
So him and Bulldog.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
No. Well, AEW, if nothing else, is going to be hopefully the return to form, or the reminder to WWE that, hey, how we used to do it can still work, because that's what they're doing. Chris Jericho isn't reinventing the wheel. Chris Jericho is coming out and being the guy that you love to hate, because he's picking on the good guys, and he's going over the top picking on the good guys.
And that's what he does best, by the way, I think. He's that heel that people love.
But also talking about that too, these are a lot of younger guys that he is getting in the ring with and putting them over in a big way. They may lose to him, but they're showing off their skills and building their stardom, because he's in there helping them out. So, but I was thinking about this too. Aside from the Fiend, there isn't a single gimmick in the WWE, as far as you had, in the early days, Duke the Dumpster Droese and the Repo Man and stuff like that. Aside from the Fiend, there isn't that kind of costume wearing gimmick that you have. You have the Viking Raiders, but they just come out with their Viking gear on, and then they're just two guys in there who scream at their opponents while they're beating them up.
Which is what Vikings do.
No. Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. Speaking of wrestling, let's get to the bracket. We have so much things to talk about with it.
30 seconds to filler while I grab another beer.
Okay. So the first one is kind of filler, I think. Yeah, The Rock versus Daniel Bryan. I don't think this one actually had much of a fight to it. And that's sad for one of them.
Honorable mentions round or something.
We could do that. We could do that for when we get to the championship, because we'll technically be past the we could do it for the Final Four. We'll have the Final Four set up.
Do like an honorable mentions. People like Doink the Clown or Duke the Dumpster Droese.
So I didn't realize it until I started watching. So watching a What Culture's wrestlers gimmicks who got darker outside of the WWE, and apparently Doink the Clown was supposed to be what you think of when you think of a nightmare fucking clown, but he just never got around to doing it. But when he left for ECW, he actually got to play out what the character was supposed to be. And it's like, there were moments where he was wearing like a half of the makeup and the other half was him. So he would be himself at times. And then at other times he would be Doink, and it would just kind of phase in and out. And then he would start, putting the clown wig on people and making them clowns, and like being an utter terrifying sack of garbage that probably wouldn't work now because I'm pretty sure he's a serial killer. But maybe it could work.
Doink though.
Yeah.
Doink was like 8 people.
Yeah, but they hated it in WWF because it wasn't as marketable as if he was a goofy goofball clown that was full makeup all the time and never reverted to the actual serial killer looking terrifying guy under the face paint.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah.
All right, so in our first matchup, we have 6 matchups tonight. We've got Daniel Bryan versus The Rock. I gotta go, guys. Pink Toes is calling me. Rooster, have fun. Wear your mask.
Pink Toes, is that the whorehouse down the street?
I believe that is the Strippy Strip Club. I believe that is the Strippy Strip Club. Have fun, Rooster. Enjoy it. Don't enjoy it too much, because then you have a baby. And you mean, you've already got a baby. All right, so we've got Daniel Bryan versus The Rock. I'll let you know right now what social media thought. They thought The Rock and nothing but The Rock.
I could see that.
Well, okay, I'll start this bad boy off then. Oh, by the way, I sent an email to message who assured me he was on his way home and would be joining us shortly.
Bullshit.
So that's what I didn't say that, but that's what I thought. He can watch this later to his heart's content. So this is one of those ones that falls into, because I didn't think The Rock was that great of a technical wrestler.
No.
Starting out that way, maybe so much more, but he became more of an iconic kind of wrestler, almost an Andre the Giant type wrestler, whereas Daniel Bryan has got some serious skill. And so I feel this is where you have the icon status of The Rock, which is up here, and you have the actual wrestling ability of Daniel Bryan, which is up here, and then you have these two go head to head. This was kind of a tough one for me because, again, part of greatest wrestler of all time is your ability to wrestle, but it encompasses all those things. Are you good on the mic? Can you do this? Can you cut a promo? And excuse me, I can't disagree with social media on this as far as the total ability goes. And that's not, this is one of those matchups where Daniel Bryan, which we keep saying stuff like that. It's like, in another different matchup, Daniel Bryan could have won this. Well, in another different matchup, somebody else could have won this. That's the luck of the draw in a tournament. You got to play the hand you're dealt. And I just, with the longevity of The Rock, how he was on the mic, how he was with fans, there's no way I don't think Daniel Bryan, I can't give him my vote. I cannot give him my vote.
Fair.
I don't even remember who I voted for online. It was probably The Rock. Because,
everyone voted for The
100%.
Rock. It was 100%.
But then again, after this is where I started thinking kind of what we discussed before we started the show. Is this a vote for who's more popular, or is this a vote for a better wrestler? Because there's some things that Daniel Bryan has done that far surpass what The Rock has done, and that's a dream match that I would love to see.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I'm not going to go against social media on it, because why not?
Crucified for the Lord of the Rings thing. Why drop him now?
Yeah. But there are so many things like, his eco warrior gimmick, Daniel Bryan. That could have gone a long time. And what he did, like with the title belt, with the wooden title belt with the hemp strap. I mean, certain things like that. Rocky Maivia to what it was like Nation of Domination Rocky, and then
We are the nation.
kind of broke out on his own. It's just, I don't know, man.
No.
I'm not gonna go against him, but I still think Daniel Bryan is the better of the two.
Yeah, so I think with this one, you've got a very interesting kind of setup between you have someone that was the self-proclaimed people's champ, and then during one of Daniel Bryan's most memorable run, he was the Yes Movement, which was literally the champ of the people. So I think it was always an interesting. I think it's always interesting when parallels or like matchups like this happen. So we've had a couple where people either made a certain character after their match. Or they have history, like when Taker went against Mankind, where you see all these little moments where there's like this intersectionality between all of them that's very interesting. I think for me, when looking at these two, you look at what are their top strengths. Rock, it's the character. Daniel Bryan, it's the wrestling. And I think, for me, I say that the Rock's character is by far the better out of all that. So if I prio things up, I'm going to say Rock's character, Daniel Bryan's wrestling. I probably would then go Daniel Bryan's character for some of his other, like his actual character moments, and then the Rock's wrestling. But I think if I was going based on what their strengths were, strength versus strength, wrestling versus the character, or wrestling versus the promo, I think the higher strength goes to the Rock. I think if you take those two things and compare them, I think the Rock's, and based on not just like how skillful it was, but based on memorability. Like maybe that's the unfair thing about wrestling, and where it becomes a little bit about popularity is if you're good at being a character, if you're good at cutting promos, you get remembered a lot more than being good at wrestling. And I know that seems unfair for greatest wrestler of all time, but it's also what separates.
That's part of the game, though.
It's what separates this type of wrestling from actual legitimate wrestling, where they go out there and are pinning people in real life on a mat somewhere. Like you got to have the character about it. You got to have the storylines, and I think The Rock has more memorable character. Can't say characters because he never really evolved. I guess if you look at Rocky Maivia to Nation of Domination to then The Rock, and then that was literally the end of his evolution. He was just The Rock from then on.
All he did at that point was get more tattoos.
Hey guys, I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Well, TJ is going to be back in a minute, but I think we're all kind of in agreement here. The Rock is going to take down Daniel Bryan in this round.
I wonder, does TJ want us to keep going?
I think we can pull up the next match and talk about something for a few seconds until he gets back.
All righty. So there we go. Winner, chicken dinner. The Rocky Rock gets that win. Congratulations, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You're winning at everything in life right now. And
didn't he buy Silver Dollar City? No, not Silver.
XFL. He bought the XFL, the Silver Dollar City of sports.
No, I was thinking Dog Patch. Somebody just bought Dog Patch.
Bass, the owners of Bass Pro Shop just bought.
That's right. Yeah.
Dog
Okay.
Patch.
Yeah. Boy, talk about getting things mixed up. Didn't The Rock just buy Silver Dollar City and some of those things and ransom there?
Yeah.
No, Jared, it was the XFL that he bought.
So on this one, we have HBK, Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid versus Chris Jericho, Le Champion, the man of 1,000 moves. Or is that Dean Malenko? I think that's Dean Malenko.
It was Dean Malenko.
But he then said he was the man of 1,001 moves in his rivalry with Dean Malenko. And when he listed his 1,000 moves, he started with the armbar as one of the moves he created. So he took credit for all of the wrestling moves ever.
He stole things from before he was born and made them his. But that's the beauty of Chris Jericho, is to take something so utterly absurd and turn it into, in some way, a comedic genius. Chris Jericho was one of those people, one of those wrestlers where nobody ever truly hated him. He was a heel, and he's known, I would say, far more through his career as a heel in some way, but he was one of those that nobody ever disliked. They were like, we want Chris Jericho to continue to be the heel because he just does it so well. And in my mind, there's not a person in wrestling, current or former, that has done a better job than Chris Jericho at playing the heel character that you love.
Yeah. Well, he's one of the wrestlers, and there's not a lot of them left that just can't do a baby face or can't do a face. Like he has to be a heel. He's so much better as a heel because and it's probably some of his actual personality at times, is a cocky prick, and like he at least has the humor to where that probably is why people like him. But I mean, like, he's just lacking the humor away from just probably being a shitty person in real life, and that's why it makes a good character. So, Rooster, when you say the yes man, are you talking about Daniel Bryan? Because if you are, he's gone. The numbers are no longer falsified. The numbers are correct. The Rock beat Daniel Bryan. Down goes Daniel. Down goes Daniel. But now we have Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. And I think a part of me is conflicted, but also a couple weeks back, or maybe it was 3 weeks back, I made it known that out of all the wrestlers in this competition, Shawn Michaels is probably my favorite, and I'm going to root for him every chance I get. So for me, it probably not as conflicting as maybe it should have been, because I'm going to simp on Shawn Michaels throughout the entirety of this tournament as he makes a run, because I liked everything about the character, and while he wasn't like going all over the ring, he had enough to his game that, you know, I never noticed his wrestling and thought he's only got 5 moves. Granted, all I really remember of his wrestling is every now and then he would take a shot off the top rope, and then he would kick people in the jaw, and that's it. So Sweet Chin Music, and every now and then a move where he either landed or did not land off the top rope.
So, you know, yeah, and I think, and that was one of the things, too, about the glorious time of wrestling we talk about, where you had people like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Razor Ramon, people who had a mantra in a match where you knew at that point in the match, you knew there was a series of moves that were going to happen in succession. For Shawn Michaels, you know, it was the body slam, up to the top rope, elbow drop, or a moonsault. The moonsault was usually coming when, and Shawn, by the way, was one of those people that, like, you know, he trained to perfect that backflip off the top rope. You know, which is why that last match, well, the last match with The Undertaker, you know.
What should have been his last match, yeah. What should have
been his last match, yeah. So, you know, and that's one of the things I think that Shawn brought, you know, because when he started out with Marty Jannetty. They were the Rockers, and they were, you know, your kind of, you know, baby face. Well, then of course, he kicked Marty through a window. He kind of became heel. Teamed up with Luna Vachon for a little bit. That's when he got a little chubby, right around WrestleMania 10. But two of the greatest matches, not counting the Iron Man match with him and Bret Hart, but two of the greatest matches he's ever been in were him and Razor Ramon in WrestleMania 10, the ladder match, and then SummerSlam 95, which was the following August. For the same thing in the ladder match, basically a rematch in the Intercontinental Championship, which, by the way, was the same exact match except for the winner. But they just, those two put on a good show in a ring. When you get to Jericho, I think started, you know, what we talked about a second ago with Jericho was how much now, and keep in mind, Jericho is a guy who trained with Stu and Bret and Owen and the Hart family. This guy knows his stuff wrestling-wise. If we're comparing apples to apples as far as greatest wrestling ability, Chris Jericho beats the hell out of Shawn Michaels. But again, it's all about the total package. Now, if
Lex
you
Luger.
Yeah, Lex Luger, who's not on this tournament, by the way.
Because he sucks ass at wrestling.
Womp womp. Yeah, exactly. He body slammed Yokozuna.
Who hasn't?
For real.
Me. I mean,
True.
Except for that one time in NAMM.
Deal.
But so Jericho, I think, also in a way is better on the mic just because of his charisma, his characterability. He can really kind of morph into anything you needed him to be. It was always mostly, you know, heel related, but he did the heel, like I said earlier, he did the heel so much better than anybody else. But he wasn't a heel that people hated. They booed him because they thought it was fun and they loved him. To where Shawn, you know, he was good on the mic, but he the best promo he cut was the lead up to WrestleMania 12, and then the DX stuff was good too. But I mean, that was just kind of the Attitude Era, them being goofy and just off cuff saying what they wanted to. This one was really tough for me because I couldn't decide who I like more as if you encompass the in total thing. Where, and this is no fault of Jericho, but where I give the slight edge to this contest is Shawn Michaels for the only reason of, at the time, at the height of his popularity, he was in WWE and he won his first title in 1996 against Bret Hart, and then it kind of took off from there. Jericho was in WCW, and he had been doing it for a while. And then, of course, the merger happened later, and Jericho had always been kind of that, again, iconic status, but it was more the heel iconic status and the funny guy. You know, that's if you ask me right now, and again, I've already said Jericho, hands down, is the better wrestler. If you ask me right now, who's the funnier guy, who's the more memorable guy, it's Jericho, hands down. If you ask me, you know, who's got the most championships, it's Shawn Michaels. You know, so for this one, for me, it was hard because I feel they're both icons, but I feel like Jericho's icon was meant to be the bad guy icon, and which is not to discredit him, and probably not his decision, although I'm sure he rightfully played along because he's a jobber. He just, that's what he does. He's one of the best at it. But I give the edge to Shawn Michaels here again, kind of just like, I want to say it's the icon status that just pushes him just slightly ahead of Jericho in the wrestler category. I think maybe what seals the deal for me was with Jericho, there might have been too much on the mic and not enough in the ring, to where Shawn was a lot of times not enough on the mic, but always brought the A game in the ring. You know, and for me, that's what gives Shawn in this the slight edge. And I think I can't remember who I voted for, but I'm going to give this one to the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Whoa! So before we go to TJ, just cover something Elser said on Facebook. Jonathan Elser says Johnny Morris will make that place into fun again. So that's a reference to Dog Patch USA, and that's in reference to Mr. Moneybags behind the Bass Pro name that will be purchasing Dog Patch, or has purchased Dog Patch USA, and will be turning it into something that I imagine probably is going to be heaven for those of you that already find the wonder in a Bass Pro Shop. Now you're going to have literally Bass Pro Shop, the attraction. So
I'm in. Let's go.
I mean, it's a lovely looking property. They did an aerial view over some of the work they've been doing out there. Oh, it looks beautiful. So I can already imagine some of the stuff they'll be doing. And I imagine for people that are, you know, big into fishing and outdoors, again, this is going to be probably like your fever dream destination to go, because you'll be able to enact all of your, it's going to be an opportunity for you to live in a Bass Pro Shop for some of you people that have been waiting to live in a Bass Pro Shop. So take it up. TJ, how you feeling? Jericho versus Shawn Michaels.
Oh boy.
A fair and accurate response.
Jericho is great about being a heel. So good that people would meet him out at his car after shows and try to fight him because he's pissed them off so much. So much that, was it Mickey Rourke thought that he was like legitimately like an asshole, you know. But like Shawn Michaels, man, it's like he's Mr. WrestleMania. A lot of his best matches have been WrestleManias, so I'm gonna keep it short and simple. I'm gonna go Shawn.
Perfect. Well, okay, so I think what I'm gonna say basically bleeds together what Jared has said and what TJ has said. Because essentially what TJ is saying is probably my point on this matter. Even though I've already said I'm going to simp for Shawn Michaels, I'm already going to be an unabashed, support for Shawn Michaels in the remainder of this tournament, as I always had planned to be. Again, I'm not trying to hide that. But what I will say is, so while I don't disagree with anything you said, Jared, I think Chris Jericho has probably better character work, definitely probably better in ring. But as TJ said, it to an extent kind of modifying it a little bit. Think of every big match these two men have had and tell me which ones you can name more of. I can name probably off the top of my head 5 Shawn Michaels before I can even think of a Jericho one. That's not true.
Absolutely.
I can think of one Jericho one that will never not be in my mind, and that's him being the first undisputed WWE. It was technically called the first undisputed WWF World Heavyweight Champion, where they unified the WCW and the WWF belt, which they had renamed the WWE belt. You all get it. You get it. You understand what I'm saying.
So what you're saying though is one.
Yeah, so like that one, and then I guess you could say his Goldberg match is memorable, but it's just because he was kind of shit-talking Goldberg the entire time, and then tried to convince WCW to let him get more offensive in, and he didn't really, and still got Goldberged. So I mean, like, I don't know if you want to count that as a memorable moment for him in his favor, but like Shawn Michaels, you've got the battles he went to against Diesel, where there was an actual storyline there of kind of the breakup of friendship, where Diesel was a friend but a protectorate of him for the longest time, and then Shawn chose to be the star, and then they had the fight. Him versus Razor Ramon with ladders. Him versus Ric Flair is one that we've mentioned so many times that it's hard to move past. His second match, more so than his first match with The Undertaker, iconic, dude, because it was such a great story leading up to that. So I mean, even taking that out, the matches that led to that point, his Royal Rumble that year where he, it's all fake, whatever. So I get that, but like the pain and expression where you could tell that he was going out there and trying to eliminate people as quickly as he could, because he thought, or the character had given us the point, that if he didn't win this Rumble, there is no way he's wrestling Taker, and we have to see it again. And there's just this desperation where you thought about it, but like things like that where he won. I mean, he won a fucking Royal Rumble from the number 1 point. And while
he won 3, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he won 1 from the number 1 starting point. I think for sure the second one came from the 16th starting point. But yeah, like, he's got all these memorable matches that you could think of and start to throw out, like when him and Triple H betray each other, and the Montreal Screwjob. So it took me like 5 matches to get to the Montreal Screwjob, which is iconic for all the wrong reasons, but all the right reasons in terms of wrestling. Because then Bret Hart went on to punch Vince McMahon, and then the next night on Monday Night Raw, the NWO got a chance to joke about that. So I mean, like, that was a lot of storytelling that came out of that. So I don't disagree. I think Chris Jericho, better wrestler, probably better at the gimmick, better at the promos, and has a lot more sustainability to him. I think the one thing that goes against him is his booking just hasn't been the same level that Michaels has been. Except for now. Now Jericho's starting to get the main event draw that he always maybe should have had. And it's not fair that he didn't get to book himself in those ways. But I mean, there was something about Shawn Michaels, and it's hard to argue against. He had a quality that was very marketable.
Very much.
And that's an amazing thing to say in a sport that values height and weight, and he was short and small. Kudos to him. Kudos to him.
And also, by the way, and I know there have been a lot of outfits on wrestling ever since then. But one of my favorite things about Shawn Michaels, and this is just kind of goofy, but like I enjoyed not his stripping necessarily, but when he came out to the ring and he had on his chaps, and he had on some kind of thing, and he had on a hat, and it was like they were all different colors, and they had mirrors, and it was kind of like, what outfit is he gonna wear next time? And then, like, certain times he would have the red pants with the white and red hearts, red pants all white heart, and he just, I don't know, which that doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, but it was nice to see that kind of, I felt like he had so many outfits to where every other wrestler, which, I mean, I get it. Why do you need more than a pair of underwear, Jared? Well, because he's Shawn freaking Michaels. That's why. And no other, I mean, okay, maybe not no other, but he's really one of the only ones where it's kind of like, I think a lot of people looked forward to like what he was going to wear before the match when he came out. Because that was part of the thing too.
Well, I mean, he's just a sexy boy. He's not your boy toy. Sexy boy. Yeah, no, I also give him leaps and bounds points for his intro music. His intro, I know we don't talk about that a whole lot, but his intro music, hands above better than anything Chris Jericho's had, because I can't remember anything Chris Jericho's had, except for Judas. Judas is an awesome intro song, so kudos to him finally being able to play his own music for his theme song, because it's a bop. As the kids would say, it's a bop.
It's a bop. Do you remember when Shawn Michaels had the girl singing all the lyrics? It was back in like '94.
God, no, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was horrible.
The whole song, same music, whole song sung by a girl though.
You telling me you don't remember the countdown, and then it's just break the walls
down? Okay, that's fair. That's fair. His Y2J run, singing. Yeah, his Y2J was a good run. His Y2J
was, I think, his best era.
His first introduction on that 2000, that very first Raw, where he did the countdown, and people are like, "Who is it?" Jim Ross is, "Who is it? Who could it be?" And he's like, Y2J, Chris Jericho. Like, you spoiled it, motherfucker. I didn't know what Y2J meant until he turned around.
Oh my God!
Is that Chris Jericho? He does it now in AEW, and I love it because it's just so fucking hokey and cheesy. And that's what I want from wrestling. I want it cheesy. It's fast food. I want it to be greasy and messy. I don't want it to be a nice, athletic, compact, fit form. I want it to be just cheesy as all fuck. Like I like most of my food. Cheesy as all fuck. All right, so we are going to give a winner to whom, Shawn Michaels?
Yes.
The voting was essentially, I think it was 83% to 17% in favor of Shawn Michaels. So, winner! Good job, Shawn. You did it.
Good job, Shawn. We voted for you.
All right, next up we have, I already can tell how this is going to go, Rey Mysterio versus Bret the Hitman Hart. I think I have an idea where my fellow nerds are going to go with this, but just to let you know in advance how the public went, it was 64% in favor of Bret Hart, 36% for Rey Mysterio Jr.
We're not gonna go against the public on this one. So who was it a couple weeks ago that we just kept talking about?
Rock Your Face gave us pretty much every statistical fact about Rey Mysterio Jr. you could ever not ask for but receive.
So yeah, it's Bret Hart. I mean, it's. There's a reason he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. You know, he can sit there and put a guy over and make the guy look like a star to where that anybody else wrestles that guy. Which actually this has happened is there was some guy that Vince McMahon had picked to be the next Hulk Hogan. So he had him go out there and wrestle Bret Hart. And they put on a hell of a match. And then the next week, like, that guy goes out and wrestles someone else, and it's a shitty match. And it's because Bret Hart made him look good. You know, he can sit there and put anybody over at any time and make them look like a star. 1, 2, 3 Kid. Well, shit, just anybody. And except Hulk Hogan, apparently.
Apparently that's a hard ask anyways.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so yeah, I'm kind of with, not kind of with TJ, I am all in with TJ on this, and I don't really feel like this needs an explanation. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. That's all I want to say, and mainly because Rey Mysterio, I don't want to take anything away from him.
Well, he's only got one eye, so
that's fair. That's fair. Guy can only see, poor bastard. Yeah.
So okay.
It's either 6'1" or a 1'9". It's not a 6'1".
So here's what I'll do. For Rock Your Face, wherever you are out there, Rock Your Face. If you happen to catch this at a different time, here's what I'm going to do for you. In the AAA, so that's the big promotion down in Mexico, Rey Mysterio was a Mexican National Trios champion one time, Mexican National Welterweight champion one time, Lucha Libre World Cup winner in 2015. Damn, that was pretty recent. Triple H Hall of Fame, so he was inducted in 2007. So he was inducted in 2007, and then literally 8 years later, he won a World Cup. All right. And then what we got? We got WCW Cruiserweight Champion 5 times, Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions. I forgot they had that one time. And then WCW World Tag Team Champion 3 times. Man, him and Billy Kid had a run. I forgot all about him and Billy Kid. And then in WWF, he was a World Heavyweight Champion 2 times, WWE Champion 1 time, Cruiserweight Champion 3 times, Intercontinental Champion 2 times, Tag Team Champions 4 times, United States Champion 2 times, a Royal Rumble winner, bragging rights trophy. Don't know what the fuck that is, but he was winning. He won that in 2010. He was the 21st Triple Crown champion in WWF and the 21st Grand Slam champion. So there you go. I've said all that to say this. I'm going with Bret Hart, but I've given you the list of accomplishments for Rey Mysterio, so that way no one can yell at me that I didn't do my justice for them. Wrestling Observer newsletter said he was the best flying wrestler from 95 to 97 and 2002 to 2004. He had best wrestling maneuver, the flip dive into a Frankensteiner, which is, yeah, pretty fucking awesome. He had the match of the year in 2002 with Edge versus Chris Benoit, which don't say his name anymore, and Kurt Angle for the WWE Tag Team Champions at No Mercy, October 20th. He was the most outstanding wrestler by this publication in 1996. Rookie of the year in 1992. He was a fucking rookie in 1992. He had the worst feud of the year in 2008 with Kane, which who doesn't? And the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame Class of 2010. How that's different than their actual Hall of Fame just is fucking flabbergasting to me, and I don't understand it. But there you go. That is Rey Mysterio. And again, I say all that to say this. Bret Hitman Hart is going to win in my book because he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. I think if you can create a 3-sentence statement about who you are, and it's profound and unforgettable, you've done something right, and you're going to win. Rey Mysterio, that's nothing against having the 619, but I remember you saying Poppy, but you took that from Eddie Guerrero, so yeah. It happens.
Fair. Poor Rey Mysterio.
All right, well, that was a difficult one, Bret Hart. Congratulations on your victory. I vamped to give Rey Mysterio some talking points, but yeah. That was as far as I could drag it.
I think the next two are in. Well, yeah, this one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, take that winner off of Hulk.
Yeah, we haven't decided that yet.
So what we have with Hulk Hogan is, I mean, not Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper is we have this from the fan votes to just give you some clarity where we are right now. It was 62% in favor of Hulk Hogan, 38% in favor of Roddy Piper. And I do think this is where TJ's point of, are you voting for who you liked more than who's the better wrestler, I think may have something to do with it. But I digress. You boys chime in. Jared, have at it.
Well, okay. Yeah. So I don't know. Hulk, he was more mainstream, but I don't think he was more, excuse me, he was more mainstream, but I don't think he was more popular necessarily. He did a lot of things outside of wrestling that made him kind of, that was part of Hulkamania, to where Piper, yeah, sure, he had his movies, but a lot of them, let's face it, were underground movies, like our favorite B-rated movies. He definitely did a good job in those, but Piper has kind of more of a very close-knit following. Everybody respects him, but like the following is not what Hulkamania was. But I don't think he ever got the push that Hulk did, probably because Hulk just did things a different way. Now, wrestling ability, both of them suck when it comes to wrestling ability. These two guys, okay, well, first of all, Piper was a brawler. Hogan was a stud. So I'm throwing wrestling ability out the window on this one. It was, at this point, it's like two things. Number one, if punched you in the face, which one would hurt the most? I think I've got to give that to Hogan. Number two, if you were continually punched in the face by one of the other of these, who is standing up longer? And I got to give that to Piper. Because these two guys were... Hogan didn't have any moves. Let's face it. Listen, Hulkamania, Hulkamania, brother. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way now because I feel like it's going to make some people mad later. But Hulk Hogan is not a good wrestler. He's not.
Oh, there's Rock Your Face. Oh man, Rock Your Face. Don't check what happened. Don't check what happened 5 minutes ago.
Don't rewind.
Don't go back.
And the icon status, as it said, goes a long way into this. The wrestling status goes in a long way with this. And I can't believe I'm about to say what I'm about to say. I can't vote. Gosh, I hate this. Because, and I don't like Hulk Hogan, by the way, what makes this so hard. Because each one of those, like, it's the scales are even as far as if you took all the attributes, everything, put them all together, Piper wins on so many levels. But then Hulk wins on so many levels, and it really balances the scale. I think I voted for Piper, but I'm not sure. I haven't really I haven't really talked myself out of Hulk. But I don't know. I want to hear what you guys. Maybe you guys can convince me the direction I need to go. TJ, talk me out of voting for Hulk Hogan.
So, I'm not 100% sure on this, but has Hulk Hogan ever won the Intercontinental title?
No, he has not.
Exactly. He's the main event guy. He's a part-timer, essentially. Yep. He'll come in there. He'll do, even like back in the days when he was champion, like, did he really fight like the week-to-week kind of thing?
Nope.
Or was he just like the main pay-per-views, main events kind of wrestler? You know, he's was essentially a part-timer. He was the face of the company, but Roddy Piper is where I think I can't vote for Hulk on this. I got to vote for Roddy Piper. There's a reason the Intercontinental title is the workhorse title. Roddy Piper, he did hold the Intercontinental title
3 times,
didn't he? Huh?
3 times.
Exactly. So. This is the guy that would go out there.
Back in the day, 3 times Intercontinental Championship when he was Intercontinental.
That was a big thing.
Yeah. Now you have Randy Orton, 17 times. Shut up.
Yeah, keep in mind, people like, the Hitman, when they won the world title 5 times, that was like a big accomplishment because the only other person who had won the title at least 5 times would have been Ric Flair, who had won it 87 times by that point. But, to win a title like that 3 times, I think Roddy Piper had more wrestling ability than Hulk Hogan did. Hulk Hogan was I'm going to puff out my cheeks and I'm going to point at you and, and then I'm going to block your punches. I'm going to hit you back. I'm going to power slam you, or I don't even think he did a power slam. I think he did a clothesline and a leg drop, and that was it.
Leg drop, pin.
But Roddy Piper can go out there and have some, really good matches, and a lot of them are overlooked. Yeah, a lot of them are overlooked. It's sometimes I think Roddy Piper's style is where you get the style of today, where it's just a brawling kind of thing. Yeah. But also Piper was good on a mic. Hulk Hogan really wasn't that good on the mic, brother.
Oh. TJ convinced me.
So on top of that, you have Piper's Pit, which is so good on a mic. He had one of the first,
Monday Night Raw things.
Well, yeah, one of those first little like talk show things that the wrestlers end up doing. I can't see letting Hulk Hogan
survive
forward. Yeah.
Well, Mr.
Plus, didn't he use a racial slur at one point?
Yep.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Cack, before you give us your take, what did social media say? Did you already answer that?
It was 62% in favor of Hulk Hogan and then 38% in favor of Rowdy.
All right, so Cack, I don't know. Me and TJ have kind of spoken our piece. so much. Well, TJ more so than me. What do you think? Where are you at on this?
I'm just flabbergasted after TJ said he never won the Intercontinental Champion. I'm like, oh yeah, let me check and double see what that was. Okay, Hulk Hogan's championship career has been this: World Wrestling Championship, or in WCW, he won the Heavyweight Championship 6 times. That was the only title he held in that company. In WWF, he was a World Heavyweight Champion 6 times. He was a Tag Team Champion once. Could you guess who his partner was when he held the Tag Team Champion?
Andre the Giant?
No!
It's Macho Man.
No!
Ultimate Warrior?
Don't say. Wait.
You'll never guess. You'll never guess who his tag team partner was.
No, I will. Give me a hint.
I don't even know how to...
Sergeant Slaughter.
No. Listen.
Dang.
You're thinking too old.
Oh, wow.
This happened, I think, in the 2000s.
So it would have been Scott Hall or Kevin Nash, probably.
No!
Shawn Michaels.
No!
Rey Mysterio.
Oh my gosh, you me tell you and blow your fucking mind.
Go for it.
Edge! He won the Tag Team Championship in WWE with Edge. It was against, I think, Chuck and Billy when they were in the kind of weird friendship, we're trying to make it a gay storyline, but it's not really, type phase. They won it on SmackDown. I
don't remember that, therefore I reject it.
I never remembered them ever tagging together.
That doesn't count.
Well, it would have been like a one-time thing, probably.
Yeah.
Like would there have even been a title defense, or would there have just been we're gonna relinquish the title and they're gonna hold a tournament for it?
I don't know. Again, I was flabbergasted when I saw this. So you've got him as the heavyweight champion 6 times, WWE Tag Team Champion once, Royal Rumble winner in 90 and 91, and a WWE Hall of Famer. But that's it on his accomplishments in WCW and WWE. Yeah, he didn't really hold any mid-card titles because he wasn't a workhorse. He was the main attraction. He was the main attraction.
Yeah. He was the face of the company. You know, he was built to be the face of the company. And, you know, anybody who, you know, it's the thing about like the Intercontinental title is, you know, people would sit there and work for the Intercontinental title and, you know, go out there and perform week after week, kind of like what AJ Styles is doing now with it, you know, as opposed to what has been done with it recently. You know, they go out there and perform week to week and then eventually build themselves up to be a big enough star to be granted that world title opportunity and perhaps be crowned the world champion. Bret Hart, 1 month after SummerSlam of 92, you know, he lost the Intercontinental title to the British Bulldog. 1 month later, he wins the world title.
So, let me, and I'm glad Jared's back because I want him to hear this too. Let me now read the list of accomplishments he gained over the course of his wrestling career from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Going back to them because they're the official publication source of all wrestling things. Strongest wrestler in 83, best babyface 82 to 91, best box office draw 97, best gimmick 96 as a member of the New World Order, which makes sense. Feud of the year. So he got that in 1986 and then 1996. Most charismatic, 85 to 87, 89 to 91. And now here's where things make a flip for old Hulk Hogan. Most embarrassing wrestler, 95, 96, 99, 2000. Most obnoxious, 94 and 95. Most overrated, 85 to 87, 94 to 98. Most unimproved, 94 and 95. Readers' least favorite wrestler, 85, 86, 91, 94 to 99. Worst feud of the year against Sergeant Slaughter in 91. Worst feud of the year in 95 against the Dungeon of Doom. Worst feud of the year in 1998 against the Warrior. Worst feud of the year in 2000 versus Billy Kidman, which just sounds god-awful. Worst interviews in 1995. Worst wrestler of 97. Worst worked match of the year, 1987 against Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. Worst work match of the year, 96 with Randy Savage versus Arn Anderson, Ming the Barbarian, Ric Flair, Kevin Sullivan, Z Gangsta, and the Ultimate Solution and in the Towers of Doom match at Uncensored. Worst worked match of the year, 1997 versus Roddy Piper at the Super Brawl 7. Worst worked match of the year, 98. He won it 96, 97, 98. What a fucking unit. Against the Warrior at Halloween Havoc. That is the feud that was predicated on Hulk Hogan seeing the Ultimate Warrior appear in his mirror like a fucking ghost is talking to him, which was such a stupid moment. Wrestling Observer, Newsletter Hall of Fame, class of 96. I mean, I'm not gonna. I think Hogan's more iconic, but I'm not gonna argue against if anyone wants to save him, because technically, the opinion of the public is Hulk Hogan wins. And a reminder, how the saves work is you get one per round. This is still technically part of round 2, and this is the last few matches of round 2. So if you were to use your save, you would have another save again in the next round. So I'm just saying that to predicate, if anyone would like to save Rowdy Piper, this would be the moment. Jared is using his save. Is anyone going to use their save to stop that? I'm not.
No.
All right. So Roddy Piper, upset special. The nerds push him through. Take that, social media. You can suck it once more as we've overthrown your voice. And we did it to the Godfather, and it pissed some of you off. So I mean, screw it. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, me neither. But I think it's an injustice you can't just go based on iconic status. Now, the people that voted on this poll and the people that are in with us in chat, which looks like nobody at this point, but I feel like if we were to take this thing worldwide, I think there's a lot more people that would agree with the three of us based on this overruling and this save than there are that would vote for Hulk Hogan.
And even if they're not, fuck them. They're not here to do anything about it.
They're not here to vote right now. You had your chance, losers.
All right, so we've got that. So now we technically move
Where's my bagpipes?
Now we technically move on to round 3. So this is the start of round 3. Round 3, also known as the time that shit got real. In the first matchup, we have Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. Now here's how social media felt about this. Social media said, and again, this is one of those things where it's like, to me, it feels like it's weird that it's not closer, but social media was 62% in favor of the Macho Man Randy Savage to 38% for Ric Flair. And I guess I'm kind of surprised by that, but in all honesty, Macho Man, because he did Slim Jims, technically transcended wrestling. So
Ric Flair never did a Slim Jim commercial in his life.
He didn't.
Well, I started the last one. TJ, give me what you got, brother.
Oh, crap. Yeah, man, I think I voted for Macho Man. I'm not 100% sure at this point who I voted for. I don't know.
You actually voted for Ric Flair.
Oh, did I?
Yep.
Well, it was probably because he was the 16-time champion or whatever. How many championships he's won, I don't know. It's... Gosh, I guess I'll make my case for Ric Flair. He's the guy who's... he's the dirtiest player in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's plain and simple. He's got the heel down perfectly, much like Jericho. But it's things that I think Ric Flair can get a crowd worked over more than Macho Man.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that Ric Flair does or did in the ring when he was still wrestling that were just, it's crazy, like how much stuff that he would do, whether it would be blading himself, cutting him open and turning his white hair red, or, but he's had some of the best matches, I think, out of the two of them. I don't know, man. I can't go against Ric Flair on this one. Dirtiest player in the game. Even if he wasn't to win, he'd still find a way. So, yeah.
Well, I liked Macho Man a lot better than I liked Ric Flair, but I cannot disagree with anything that TJ says.
Okay, 4 horsemen. That's all I'm gonna say. 4 horsemen.
No, well, I'm with you. What was voters had Macho Man?
Yep.
Oh gosh, man, we can't go against him twice, can we? What? I think I voted for Ric Flair.
You
Can you
did.
check that? Okay, and I basically for the same exact reasons that TJ did. Not that I don't like the Macho Man, but I mean, really, what did he have other than a flamboyant outfit and an elbow drop?
I've noticed that in a day where a lot of the wrestlers were wearing tassels, Ric Flair didn't.
No. You know why? Because he didn't have to.
Exactly. He was Ric freaking Flair. You know, he didn't have to have all the tassels on his sleeves and on his jackets and on his pants and on his arms.
Hey, iconic intros for both of them, eh? Right?
Oh yeah, you hear that Ric Flair music go off. I mean, it's just I can't remember what Macho Man's music sounded like.
It was Pomp and Circumstance. MSM Wyatt says, I hate life. My son woke me up at 2 a.m. and all I can say about that is, yep, that's what they do.
Hey, that's what they do.
Who is that? MSM Wyatt. He comes in here and asks for anime and food all the time.
Okay, Wyatt. Yeah. Sorry, Wyatt. We're still wrestling.
But Wyatt, I hope you get some sleep, buddy. Food. You son of a bitch. Don't you bring food in here.
I just had some pretzels.
I didn't have anything. I haven't had anything good. I made the the queso, the chili queso dip that they have at Chili's.
Yeah.
I found an online copycat recipe for that, and I did that. It turned out pretty good. Wasn't bad. It's kind of confusing when I read the instructions because it was like, get Velveeta, get a can of chili, and then here, add these ingredients. And the ingredients they ask you to add are literally all the spices you throw into making chili. And it's like, so I did chili, and cheese. And it's just like, that's a weird, why would I do chili and then the ingredients for chili? Doesn't that seem like too much chili? But I mean, it tasted pretty good. Tasted pretty spot on.
You know, their salsa gives me a boner.
I love their salsa. I love their salsa.
I just like, I don't even have to eat it sometimes. Like I had a former coworker. She got Chili's and she didn't like the chips and salsa, so she just stuck the salsa in the fridge. And every time I opened the fridge to get a drink of water, I just smelled chili sauce, and I was like, oh,
it's good. It's good. They do it pretty good.
TJ, I'd have to swing by Chili's when we go to pick up your turtlet tomorrow.
You should.
Yeah.
MSM Wyatt says, I cook my girlfriend ramen, but then her sister kicked me in the dick. And at that point, there's no more I can say about food, so I'm going to go back to wrestling MS Wyatt. Because once you get kicked in the dick, I mean, I feel like that's the stopping point of the story.
No. What I'd like to know is, okay, so ramen, there's only one way to do it. Via microwave or boiling stove, but basically we heat the noodles up until the noodles expand. It's just like spaghetti on a cheap level. How did you mess this up, Wyatt, to where it deserved a kick in the groin?
Well, why was the sister kicking you in the dick? Is I guess my question.
Yeah, if I cook for my girlfriend /
wife, he cooks the Japanese style. He's a little fancy pants. Well, hey, then at that point, I don't know why you're getting kicked in the dick if you're putting actual legwork into something that you can buy for 25 cents from a Walmart.
Unless his lady friend was it his girlfriend? Yeah, girlfriend. Unless his girlfriend and her sister are both Japanese and highly offended by the way he unprepared it.
That could be fair.
I don't know to be sure, but I mean, I can't. Or, you know what? Hey, there's always the chance that the girlfriend's sister she didn't like you, man. And I mean,
So that's what it sounds like. He said, because I kissed my girlfriend and cuddling her, and her sister didn't like that. Well, I have some bad news for your girlfriend's sister. While you two are in a romantic relationship, you'll probably be doing public displays of affection. Sorry, I've been drinking really girly drinks, and those get me more schmammer than probably anything else in the world because I drink more of them than I do anything else in the world because they taste so good that you just can't stop.
I want to give you some advice here, and this is important. Next time your girlfriend's sister has any sort of disagreement, by the way, block the weenie. Just in case, because she sounds kicky.
Wear a cup.
work up. When she says something that might be somewhat derogatory or disingenuous, look at her straight in her eyes and say, "Tough titty," said the kitty.
Because the milk's run dry. Wyatt, I'll ask you this: if someone proceeds to try to kick you in the dick again, how will you respond? Will you either drop an elbow from upon a high perch, or will you knock them to the ground, wrap their legs within your legs, intertwining yourselves in a pretzel of humanity, and try to make them submit to your will? Depending on your answer, I'll get back to wrestling. Listen, Rick. So he said a week ago I burnt my hand cooking steak. I feel like maybe you're not cooking steak right if you're burning your hand. I feel like that's not appropriate. I'll jump on them and smash their face in. Okay, so Wyatt is in favor of Macho Man Randy Savage. He would take the L drop from the heavens. Listen, I think, Wyatt, I don't know if you've ever seen Ric Flair, the wrestler, but go to some WCW old film footage and watch the dirtiest player in the game and learn some tips. So if someone tries to kick you in the dick, you can poke them in the eyeball, you can rake their back, you can take a razor blade from your palm and cut your own forehead and look crazy as all shit. You can take your jacket off, throw it on the ground, begin to woo, and then elbow drop said jacket, and no one's going to fucking kick you in the dick anymore. Because at that point, they think you're crazy, and you've won.
I just kind of want to go a little bit on this, what you talked about, like with their finishing moves. I mean, we're talking Macho Man's finishing move was literally get up on the top rope and drop an elbow. How basic is that? It's not even a finishing move anymore. It's a basic move. Oh. Ric Flair was the figure four. I mean...
And the figure four is still a protected move. So, I mean, like...
It still is, yeah.
Because, like, it was a big deal when The Miz started using it because Ric Flair basically came out and gave it to him. Cody uses it on AEW, but I feel like that's kind of both a loving gesture and kind of an FU to WWE in all one take.
Yeah.
But, so I think, I agree. I think Ric Flair. I think Ric Flair's probably the better wrestler. I know you guys have already mentioned it, but I think Ric Flair's probably the better wrestler. I think Macho Man was of an era where you just were big and breathed heavy. Again, kind of like TJ mentioned about Hulk Hogan. I think Macho Man fits that same build where he was just kind of a big dude that breathed heavy and made some insane promos. Ric Flair made some insane promos, but wasn't just a big heavy breathing dude. He was kind of a character out there where, you know, you were going to see him try to win the match, but then you were also like, okay, so what sneaky shit's he going to do? Yeah. Is someone going to hand him like the brass knuckles and he's going to punch him out? Is Jimmy Hart going to start hooping and hollering on the side, or whoever happened to be his handler at that point in time, or just part of his little group? I wish I was like Sasuke and be able to teleport. I'm going to give you this warning right now. That reference means nothing to 2/3 of this panel. So while I understand what you're asking, you want to use your Sharingan. I guess it would be the Tsukiyomo version of the Sharingan, or no, the Megan Goku. I can't say the upgraded version of the Sharingan. So maybe you can say it. I could type it out, probably pretty good, but I can't say it, and that's no fault of me. That's just the Japanese language is fuck all hard for someone that does a really bad job of enunciating his vowel sounds anyways, and I blame that entirely on where I was raised, in the South, the dirty South. Renningun. He uses the Renningun for that? Whatever.
On the other hand, if you went to Ireland right now, you'd fit in just fine.
Nice. And that's, I'd rather, that'd be fun going there.
So social media says Macho.
Social media says Macho Man. So again, now this is the start of round 3. So Jared has his save, TJ has his save, and I have my save. I'm of the point now where it's like, you know what? I don't fucking care who wins between these two because I like them both. I'm not going to be offended one way or the other. So now it comes down to you two, and then letting you know that this is the first of 4 matches for this 3rd round. The next match we have later on might be something you want to save your save for. I don't know. But the next matchup is The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
At this point, I am going to, while I voted for Ric Flair and while I think Ric Flair should be the person, I am not going to use my save at this time.
Gotcha.
Man, I almost want to, but I don't know what the rest of the other than
So
Undertaker and Stone Cold.
You may tell you what the rest of things look like, and I think this will influence you.
Okay.
So I don't want to do this one first because I think that'll be the giveaway for what I think is going to influence. But so let's see, is this the right one? So we have The Rock versus Shawn Michaels. Boy, that fucking sucks. That sucks. And then the other one. Now this is the one I think will influence you. We have wrong one. We have, where is it? We have Roddy Piper versus Bret the Hitman Hart.
I'll let this one slide.
Yeah, so okay.
Macho Man wins.
Macho Man wins. Macho Man. Ric Flair is superior. Evil tries to come in at the end and save Ric Flair, but it doesn't work, Evil. Down goes Ric Flair.
With you, Evil. Ric Flair is superior, but...
So I'll say this. Social media made the decision. The nerds are conflicted because we still have 3 more matches in round 3. And it sounds like, based on how social media votes, they might have to use a save for one of these next 3 matches. So in that vein, we have this. The second of our round 3 matchups, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker, Booger Red, Mark Calloway.
Oh gosh, I think I gave it to Stone Cold, which was hard for me because I mean, how do you span the career? How do you span the career of The Undertaker, and how do you not give this match to him? But I feel like wrestling ability, they both were kind of there. Undertaker was a big guy. He had his I don't know what the move's called, where he walks up on the top rope, and of course he had
Old school.
Old school, yeah. He had the last ride. He had the choke slam. He had a lot of good moves. Austin was almost in a way a Piper type brawler. He had what did he have? $1 Million Dream. He had the Thez press. He had the stunner. And that was pretty much it. Austin's thing was get in the ring and beat the hell out of you.
He took you to a corner and stomped a mud hole in you and walked it dry, Jared. I don't know if you remember that.
And listen, hey, by the way, if you ever walked a mud hole dry, it's freaking hard to do. And Stone Cold did it. So, man, I'm so conflicted on this one because I love The Undertaker's character a lot more. Going way back to like 1992. Well, not 92. What, did he come in 92? WrestleMania 8, actually. 92, yeah. I think so. With Jake the Snake. I think that was his first, maybe not his first match. There might have been
his first manager was Ted DiBiase. I think his first match was a Survivor Series match.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because it would have been Survivor Series 92, and then WrestleMania 8. No, WrestleMania 8 was in 92 though. Anyways, he fought Jake the Snake at WrestleMania 8 and tombstoned him outside the ring, and everybody was like, "Wow, this guy's good," because Jake the Snake was a little more where he is now, up from where he is now. This is very tough for me. I'm so conflicted in this because I think you can't discount Mark Calloway's very, very long career, but you cannot discount Austin's uprising and just. There are people who know The Undertaker's name and kind of go, okay, The Undertaker, oh, he's a wrestler, right? But if you say Stone Cold Steve Austin, I feel like you can't. There's probably not a person in America that you can find that doesn't know who you're talking about. Well, other than some millennial teenage goofy boy or girl. But I don't know. This one, it's so hard. I voted for Stone Cold, but I'm second guessing my vote. I'm going to stick with Stone Cold right now. I want to hear what both of you have to say.
Who did I vote for? I don't remember.
TJ, you voted for, and this one received a lot of votes. A lot of people had thoughts on this one. TJ, you were in team Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay. Man, part of me wants to change that to The Undertaker. Who won social media?
Social media was 79% in favor of give me an oh hell yeah Stone Cold Steve Austin, 21% in favor of The Undertaker.
Wow, that's a ass beating.
That is an ass
Yeah.
beating.
That's one
Evil
of
says,
those
I voted
mud
for Stone Cold, but this one will make me cry.
You know, there's so much that the Undertaker's done. You know, going back from his introduction by Ted DiBiase to the Survivor Series, you know, to fighting himself. You know, the Gray Undertaker versus the Purple Undertaker.
By
You
the
know,
way,
to
otherwise known as
Kane,
yeah, what's his real name? I can't.
Glenn Jacobs.
Glenn Jacobs. Yes.
You know,
Isaac Yankum?
Yeah.
Isaac Yankem.
Where's Glenn Jacobs on this list? He's played more characters in WWF, WWE than anybody else. He should
And
have
the
been on.
most over one was Kane.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I lost my. So, you know, from going to something like that to having, you know, his face broken and having to wear the mask and, you know, everything with Mankind and then the corporate ministry and the American Badass, and he's had such a long career. But can you honestly look at his matches and go, wow, that was really entertaining?
No.
Not a lot of them.
Holy
you look at some
shit. Steph Izzle, my wife, says Stone Cold. I don't even know if she knows who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. Stephanie, it is way too late. You are having a nightmare. Please continue watching. Leave the phone on and set it aside. keep giving us ad revenue for being here.
Stephanie, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, but have you been drinking?
I've been drinking, Stephanie, so I can't wait to embarrass the shit out of you here after this is all over.
What'd she say?
She said she knows who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. All right. I mean, that says something to me that my wife, who doesn't know anything about wrestling other than, this is a quote from her, there's that one greasy guy with the long hair. That's how she describes wrestling when talking to me. Who's that one greasy guy with the long hair? Which is literally the tagline for half of the people professional wrestling.
My first thought was Razor Ramon.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
She's actually talking about Roman Reigns, or she's talking about one of the members of the Wyatt family, or she's talking about Seth Rollins, or she's talking about literally anyone else that has long hair and puts like the water or the baby oil on it. I just drank some Dr. Pepper. That better be coded talk for you're getting schmammered. She doesn't get schmammered. That's a me thing. Let's see. So Evil says Stone Cold got me in a lot of trouble. Well, yeah. So did South Park. South Park and Stone Cold getting popular about the same time was a horrible moment for me being a good young child. Undertaker has one of the most legendary careers, though. Wyatt says, back, my girlfriend just cuddled me. There you go, boy. She's trying to kiss me now. Hey, not during the show. Keep it.
Hey, that's better than being kicked in the junk.
Keep it above the belt.
Lock that door, keep the sister out, and I think you'll be good to go. And
then Eveld says it's probably Trips, so Triple H is always soaking wet. But then when he lost the hair, he lost the Stephanie appeal of long hair, greasy guy. So
yeah.
Thank you, Eveld. Why are you thanking him? You don't even know who Triple H is. Stephanie, you don't know who that is. You should know who it is because his wife is Stephanie McMahon. So you probably, in theory, know who it is because you associate with Stephanie McMahon. Because I've always pointed out her name is Stephanie, and she's the people hate.
And her name is Stephanie too.
Yeah, people hate her. So hey, maybe get your shit together.
So social media and the three of us have basically decided that reluctantly, Austin shall proceed.
Yeah, I'm not going to give any reason other than I just like Stone Cold Steve Austin. So again, I wouldn't be offended if someone took Undertaker. I think it's perfectly within both the rights and the expectations of why we're doing this bracket to take Undertaker. But for me, I just like Stone Cold Steve Austin better. I don't think I don't have a good reason. I'm falling into what TJ has warned us against. He's literally just kind of a favorite for me. He's the one. If it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would be in professional wrestling. While I love Shawn Michaels, if it wasn't for edgy Stone Cold, having the rattlesnake brand, the breaking glass, and then just generally being someone that felt like he had a chip on his shoulder because he was wronged by the world, and that was literally his character, and that's kind of how he felt about the business in the moment of building that character. Like, all of that resonated with a short kid that, didn't want to take shit from people. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to be a mouthy little fuck. And that's, hey, Stone Cold, thank you so much for giving me this beautiful gift. But yeah, so I like Stone Cold. But I do think it's interesting, again, the intersectionality of these characters. You have essentially two characters where Ted DiBiase is part of essentially the beginning step before their ascension. So Ted DiBiase brings out The Undertaker as his surprise tag team partner for Survivor Series 90, whatever. And then while Stone Cold had been around, his time as the ringmaster then eventually led to him getting really pissed off and fed up and winning the King of the Ring. And then that's when we got pure gold, and then he never slowed down after that point.
Yep. All in favor?
I remember wearing like Stone Cold Steve Austin shirts. Like, I would get the Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirts, and of course they'd have like a, ass or hell on it.
Yeah.
And my mom would just be like, "You're not ever wearing that shirt out in public."
No.
Because it had a bad word on it. And it's like,
Mom.
Yeah, so I think Neville says it. I mean, there's no wrong answer here, and I agree. I think that's pretty much the stepping stones of the remainder of this tournament. I think for the remainder of this tournament, we've now encroached upon an area where you can literally continuously say, there's no wrong answers, but I would like for this person to win, and that's probably what's going to happen. So I'm not going to try to go against it because I'm in favor of Stone Cold, but I'm not going to give you like a really resounding, like thought out answer as to why. Yeah. I like the glass breaking and that he made fun of Jake the Snake before whooping his ass. Like, it was just so fucking brutal about how, Jake the Snake got injured, came back in, and like this was like his moment for redemption, and Stone Cold just beat the piss out of him, and then at the end talked so much shit about him that I was like, oh my gosh, he's killed Jake the Snake in like real life. I can't believe it. This is so brutal.
This is an era where King of the Ring also took place all on the same night, like all the matches. So Stone Cold, even had to go to the hospital and stitch his lip back together before coming back and beating the crap out of him. What'd you say, Jared?
I said, so he was already pissed.
Yeah, so coming back before beating the piss out of Jake the Snake, and that just, I don't know, man. That was that speech after, like, where I guess what started the Austin 316.
Just said, I whooped your ass.
Yeah, yep. That was just iconic in the moment kind of thing, and it's like, okay.
Let's see. So MSM Wyatt says her sister don't come in me and my girlfriend room because sometimes she get moody. Well, that happens after she took a few shots of scotch. Whoa, Wyatt. Steph Isle says everyone's always greasy or wet. I guess that's a wrestling requirement. Listen, I've never wrestled, but I imagine just based on what I know of how like dry skin going as dry skin works, you probably want to give yourself a little lubrication, right? Like you don't want to be slapping. I mean, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And you want the hair. So if you have long hair, you want it to be as clumped up as possible because when you have just loose flowing hair out there, it's going to get yanked and you're going to really fucking hate your life.
What's funny is when you watch those matches, those like long epic matches where someone has that long hair and it comes out and it's just soaking wet, just hanging down. By the end of the match, it's like an afro just all over the place.
Yeah.
And because their hair's dried out at that point, and and they do use baby oil, to I guess
one it's to highlight the physique, right? It's to highlight your physique. If you're glistening, you pop on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sometimes it's just a little weird, like Cody Rhodes and Mike Tyson, apparently.
I liked Shawn Michaels because in the later half of his career, you could tell about how serious the match was getting based on how much of his like bald spot was starting to show, and his hair was just kind of frizzled out. So that was always a good thing. It's also, I like it when people like try to disguise or like cover up their long hair. I like people that wear like headbands and stuff because you can tell when the match is hit like pretty much the end stage because all that stuff is pretty much falling off by that point and their hair is just doing whatever the hell it wants. And it's just like, okay, so they've seen some shit. So I get this. Yeah. They're doing the... They're doing the walk of shame. So MSM Wyatt says Jared and then never follows up. So you got a ... a cliffhanger. What we're not getting a cliffhanger on is who takes this match. The internet says Stone Cold Steve Austin. Is anyone disagreeing?
Negative.
So
negative.
What we have is our winner to close out the first half of round 3. So now we have the second half of round 3 that we will do next week, which will be the Hitman Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper, and then Dwayne The Rock Johnson versus, who was he versing? Who won today?
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. Oh boy, howdy, Shawn effing Michaels. So that's going to be fun. There's going to be a fun duo. And then eventually we'll get down to 4. And what we know already is that part of that foursome will be a matchup between Macho Man Randy Savage and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
So if Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels both win next week, will part of that be Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels?
Yep.
So we can have
our final.
Oh wow! So we're literally having our WrestleMania Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper rematch next week.
Yeah.
And then could potentially have a WrestleMania 12.
WrestleMania 12, yeah.
Rematch with Shawn Michaels, which I think goes to say a lot about a lot of these wrestlers. You know, some of their matches even being so epic that they're coming up in our,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what in a way this is all about, is like, how much more credence do you need that the voting gets back? Because I haven't looked at the bracket from week to week like I usually do, but the fact that we're getting up to some of those iconic matches, Piper versus Hitman again. I didn't look at the bracket and be like, oh, I want Piper Hitman right here. That would, These are votes that social media have said and we have talked about. That just, to me, that gives credence to the argument of why they should be there.
Yeah. So we will continue with wrestling voting next week, where we will do the last half of round 3, which means in 2 weeks, we will have our final 4 of the wrestling bracket. So if you care about this and if you want to see your wrestler, if they're still in, proceed on. Make sure you're tuning in these next 3 weeks. These next 3 weeks will be intense as we cover, again, the last half of round 3 next week. The following week, our final 4. And then 3 weeks from now, we will be doing the greatest wrestler of them all. We will be crowning whomever that happens to be in the waiting wings of all we have left of competitors. So, going to be fun. And then we'll move on to whatever the next bracket says to do, which I think is going to be sci-fi if we ever get our list ready. We gave ourselves like a full month to build that list, and boy howdy, we've done fuck all. We've done fuck all. So we're really, we're really hoping TJ gets me his list, because TJ's list is basically the list of them all.
The list, and we're just going to go, all right, yeah.
All right, this is our night. We pulled a long one. I apologize to my co-host. It's bedtime. My name is Mr. Cack. I was joined by the lovely, the awesome TJ, the beautiful, the wonderful Jared. We are the nerds, and we come in on every Friday, and we talk all the nerdy stuff that's not sports, because wrestling's not sports, because it's scripted. It's soap opera with violence. So we will be back next Friday. For those of you that want to catch some sports content, I will be back with a different co-host on Tuesday to discuss sports, where I will be publicly shaming some teams. So if you have a team that you feel like should be publicly shamed, please let me know. If you're wondering if your team is going to be the team I publicly shame, so if you happen to be the fan of a certain Redbird team in Major League Baseball, please tune in to be very offended by the mean things I have to say about them. All right.
me in on Tuesday night to watch a certain person. There he is.
There he is, Eveld. I was just checking to see if Eveld was still around. All right, thank y'all so much for joining. Steph Izzle, Eveld, MSM Wyatt, Rock Your Face, and Rooster. Thank you so much for stopping by. On the Facebook, Elser, I know you responded. Aaron Nichols, I know you appeared very briefly, but you didn't say anything, buddy. We still love you. Anyone else that came in or is still around, thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't already liked or followed our Facebook page and or liked or followed this Twitch account, please do so that you can keep up with us. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please come back next Friday. We do nerd streams on Fridays. We do sports streams on Tuesdays. I try to throw shit onto our YouTube page. So yeah, check us out on all of our stuff. If you ever need to figure out where our YouTube stuff is, just look for us on Facebook, Twitter by basically searching @RageNerds. All right, thank y'all so much. Have a good night. Love ya. We appreciate the conversation. Y'all came in late tonight. Oh, this is not my ending stream. Y'all came in late tonight. Y'all pulled a late nighter. Eveld giving me many middle fingers. We still appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Catch you around. Please come back. Next week we'll be discussing Hitman versus Roddy Piper and Shawn Michaels versus The Rock. So if you care about any of those 4 wrestlers, we will break your heart in at least a 50% chance. So enjoy it. Come find out. Come yell at us. Peace out.